Anna Preston woke up earlier than usual today. It was just beginning to get gray outside the window, but the third cockerels had already crowed. She had to get up. Lying down for so long would only make her feel tired. I should milk Daisy and give the chickens some grain and mash. Livestock need care, she thought. At least you can eat on the move, but feed her in time and take care of her. After a quick drink of milk from a ladle, she went to the stable. The slanting door creaked, letting the mistress in with difficulty. Her husband, Stephen, had left early, leaving her all alone. In 7 years, the house and the household had become dilapidated. You can't manage everything without a man. In the years, she's not the right age anymore. Not quite old, but not young either. They don't give me a pension for nothing. I've lost my strength and the old vigor is gone. But it's a sin to anger God. She still manages to take care of Daisy. Without her, it would be very hard. So don't mope, Anna. Better go and put the milk in jars. Some to drink, some for cottage cheese, some for the neighbor kids who don't have a cow. Having done her chores, Anna decided to go to the store to replenish her supplies of cereals and flour. The morning was as gray and gloomy as dawn, as if the sun had decided to take the day off today. Having loaded a full bag, she was about to leave the store when a dirty, ragged, but somehow smiling boy walked in. His face bore the marks of recent beatings, and his hair was crusted with caked blood. "What are you smiling at, lad?" asked Anna, marveling at the striking discrepancy between his appearance and expression. "I'll buy bread now," smiled the boy even more broadly, opening his clenched fist and showing the woman some small coins lying on his dirty palm. "Anna, don't torture him. He doesn't remember anything," said Lucy, the saleswoman. "He appeared a few days ago. We've been asking him, but to no avail. He seems to be able to think, but his memory is completely gone. So he needs to go to the hospital, to the district," worried Anna. "He's all beaten up. Maybe he's hurt something." "Anna, you're crazy," Lucy shrugged her shoulders. "Have you forgotten that the bridge behind Barrowville was damaged, and you can bypass it only when the road is dry after 3 days of rain? Who's going to get him to the neighborhood now?" The boy grew bored. On his kind and open face, there was an expression of helplessness and despair. Anna's heart stabbed, and unexpectedly, even for herself, she offered him, "You, my dear, come with me. The nights are already cold, and there is no heat in the daytime. You'll lie down for a while, then we'll think of something. Do you remember your name?" The boy shook his head negatively. "Well, if you don't remember it, you'll remember it later. For now, you'll be Alex. I wanted to name my son that, but 2 daughters happened. They left the store together." The boy walked, swaying behind Anna, and sometimes moaned. He must have been badly hurt. The woman was silent. Why disturb a man in such a state? Now they would come home. She would heat a sauna for him, give him some steamed milk, let him lie down for a while, get some sleep. "Yes, we'll have to go to Mrs. Simmons for some herbs. As long as official medicine is unavailable, folk medicine will replace it. It helps a little, but it helps too. Yes, and we should visit the district officer. Maybe someone is looking for the poor guy, but he can't find him." The bathhouse turned out well. Mrs. Simmons didn't fail. She came to look at the victim herself. She felt the joints, clucked her tongue, brought ointments for the wounds and potions to drink, even stayed with Anna in a motherly way to soak him in the bathhouse. The 2 of them soaked the dried crimson crusts, trimmed off the hair around the wounds, and smeared ointment on the bruises and bruises. The injured man was silent, and only occasionally wiped the traitorous moisture from his eyes. The women kept their questions to themselves, rightly believing it was better to leave them for later. After drinking half a quart of milk with a slice of fresh bread, the boy lay down and immediately fell into a deep sleep. "Anna, don't disturb him at all yet," said Mrs. Simmons, chewing her lips. "Those scoundrels haven't touched his hands and feet, but his head was badly hurt. Let him sleep as long as he wants. Sleep is only good for him. Drink the decoction 3 times a day. I've added some herbs for peace of mind. It's not just the beating that's made him lose his memory. It's the fright. When he calms down, he'll remember something." "Is Greg at home, or has he gone on business?" Anna inquired as to the location of the policeman. "He should be here by evening," Mrs. Simmons grinned. "But don't count on him too much. You know he needs interest in any case. And what can I get from you? A bucket of milk? He should have a bucket of moonshine. Why should he be distracted from preparing for a well-deserved vacation? But try it. Maybe he knows something. The evening visit to Gregory predictably yielded little. No, he swore he'd look at all the APBs about wanted notices. But on his face, it was obvious that these bums have such a job. To be beaten and nothing their tribe would not be spared a couple of bruises, abrasions, and wounds. These people are resilient. Why bother? Sighing, Anna hurried back to her guest, afraid to leave him alone for long. Alex slept until the middle of the next day. First, he jumped up in bed, apparently forgetting completely the events of the previous day. Then he saw Anna, smiled, and said, "I thought I dreamed it all." "You were not dreaming, my dear. Here, drink some herbs. Now we'll have breakfast." Anna rushed into the kitchen to get some decoction, noting with a corner of her eye that Alex was feeling a little better today. And so the days went on, full of care and concern for the sick man. Mrs. Simmons' herbs, Daisy's milk, and Anna's efforts did Alex good. He began to recover slowly, to go out into the yard, to sit for a long time in the stingy rays of the autumn sun, and then he even took to fixing the door of Daisy's slanting stable. The road to the district center had long dried up, but Anna was in no hurry to send Alex there. There was little chance that they would pick on a man for nothing, no documents, and he could not remember anything about himself, no matter how not to make trouble for him with good intentions to get him into trouble. And here, Greg is the authority. He knows about Alex, so let him. Let things go on as they are. And when the boy gets stronger, we'll see. Maybe he'll remember something himself. But memory, unlike strength, did not return to Alex. He was obviously very worried about it, followed Anna everywhere, trying to help her with the household chores. From time to time, his eyes showed the strain of hard work and an effort to remember his past, but the door was tightly closed and kept its fearful secrets. Alex proved to be amiable, easygoing, and kind, and got on well with everyone he encountered. Only in his sleep he often tossed and moaned on the pillow, reliving some unpleasant dreams of his own, which in the morning he either did not remember or did not want to talk about. On one of the fine autumn days when the vegetable garden had already been harvested and prepared for winter, Anna rose up at the crack of dawn and turned to Alex, who had already finished his breakfast and had had absolutely sleepless nights after his beatings. "Son," she said, "can you go to town with me? I decided to visit my daughter. I packed a bag, but it was too heavy. Can you help me?" "Why not help? I will," Alex replied easily. "Do you have a daughter? You never told me." "I do," smiled Anna, "and not one, but two. But they've left home. Each has her own life, her own worries. I'm turning 70 today, so I want to visit the younger one. She lives closer. We'll be back in a day." "Wow!" Alex's face stretched out. "It's your anniversary, and I don't even know it, and I don't have a present. It's not nice. If you come with me, you'll give me a present. I've loaded milk and cottage cheese and honey and sour cream, as if I were young, but I'm not the same age. Come on, get ready. It's a long way to the bus. We'll probably be late." Alex immediately threw on an old jacket, picked up a weighty bag, and setting himself down on the right hand of his benefactress, walked together with her to the bus station. Only on the way, Anna felt how the change of weather, damaged in her youth, had affected her. "Oh, Svetlana! Svetlanka! She left a memory for her mother's whole life." The woman even now shuddered, remembering the horror when she saw her youngest running out with a cry, "Mommy!" towards her, without looking around and without seeing the car that had turned the corner. And how did she manage then? It was a decent distance. It is true what they say, that a person sometimes does the impossible when frightened. And so she made some kind of incredible, gigantic leap, miraculously managing to push Svetlana away, but she got under the wheels. Oh, and then the doctors worked hard in the hospital to fold her leg. But no matter how hard they tried, it was still a little shorter than the other, causing great inconvenience and pain to all the vagaries of the weather. And now it was acting up, increasing her limp and slowing her steps. The prospect of missing the bus was becoming more and more real, and Alex, quickly assessing the situation, resolutely took the second bag from Anna's hands, took off the scarf from her neck, tied the two bags together, and threw this heavy bundle over his shoulder. Then, putting up his elbow and muttering, "Hold on, Anna!" he dragged her almost on his back to the bus station. Out of breath and soaked, they piled into the bus cabin 2 minutes before departure and fell down on the seats without strength. The late November dawn cast a pinkish gilding on the horizon, decorating the blackened plain with its glare. The bus shook slightly on the bumps, and the old woman's heart was filled with lingering anticipation of a joyous meeting with her daughter, who did not even suspect her daughter. The road lulled her to sleep. The bare trees flashed outside the window, and Anna, without wishing it, imperceptibly sank into memories. Their old collective farm with lippy calves, to which she had given almost 40 years of her hard life, flashed before her eyes. 40 years of hard life, and the old dilapidated parental house with its blue shutters, on which her father, with an unchanging striving for beauty, every time he renewed the white carved swans, and the new-built, spacious house in which they had lived together for 45 years. Now it had already settled into the ground and darkened. But then it was not a house. It was a home. True, for a long time they were lonely in the house. The Lord did not give them children. They begged and pleaded and even almost despaired. They prepared to take an orphan from the orphanage. But life suddenly turned everything around. First, she, Anna, carried the long-awaited child, and then, not in an orphanage, but in a neighboring village, the orphan appeared. Stephen's partner, Timothy, decided to go shopping in the district center with his wife, but he didn't want to go to the distant bridge and went on foot across the ice to the other side. But only spring had already begun to take over, and the ice cracked right under them. If there had been people on the shore, maybe they would have saved them, but there was no one on a weekday. Good thing they didn't take Lena with them. They took her to the nursery, and there was no one to pick her up from the nursery. Stephen and I had the same idea to take the girl with them. They gave her to them very quickly. Everyone knows each other. He and Stephen were respected by the people. No one thought of making delays. And soon Svetlana was born. So they grew up as sisters, the elder and the younger. They grew up together, even though they were different. The daredevil Svetlana, even though she was the youngest, always stood up for quiet Lena in front of the boys. And the docile Lena perhaps was the only one who could tame her younger sister's violent temper with a kind word and persuasion. Now they're both scattered. At least Svetlana is not far away. We can see each other, but Lena stayed in the capital after her studies. She found a good job and took out a mortgage on an apartment. What can I say? She was always serious, and God had not offended her with intelligence. But Svetlana, it's more difficult with this one. Even though she's nearby, she's abandoned her studies. She doesn't want to work, only men are on her mind. Wow, her own husband didn't recognize his son, so he went to do a paternity test. It was just as if in the water, it was not his Mitya. Anna sighed heavily at the thought of her grandson. The brown-eyed, quick-witted boy occupied a special place in her heart, inaccessible even to her favorite daughters. It is not without reason that they say, the first grandchild is the last child. It's a pity to be satisfied with only phone photos. Svetlana, the shameless girl, has not set eyes on her father's funeral. Lena, on the other hand, more often gets out of the capital. But nothing now they would meet, have tea with their daughter, and talk to Mitya. He's probably quite a big boy now. He won't want to talk to his grandmother. It's a shame the boy is growing up without a father, without a man's hand and guidance. Anna looked at Alex, who had dozed off. A straight nose, a firm crease of the lips, strong hands. If only the fastidious Svetlana liked him. Alex is a straight, staid fellow, and she would have been good with him. Mitya would be a good father, and they'd visit her in the village more often, unsuspecting of Anna's far-reaching plans. Alex suddenly opened his eyes, stretched, looked out of the window, and winked mischievously. Are we approaching already? Oh my goodness, I was dreaming! We're going out now! Anna fluttered her hands and fussed, putting on her handkerchief and hastily buttoning her coat. Svetlana's apartment met them with shuttered shutters on the windows and a closed door that would not open when repeatedly rung. And only when the disappointed Anna was quite sure that her daughter was not at home, there was a leisurely shuffling behind the door. Svetlana stood on the doorstep asleep, unkempt and disgruntled. Hello, my daughter. I decided to come to you for my anniversary. I think you can't get away, so I'll go myself. And who is this? Without reacting to her mother's greeting, Svetlana nodded her head towards Alex. That's my guest, Alex, Anna replied. He's been badly hurt, He's lost his memory, so he's staying with me for the time being, helping with the household chores. He's settled down then, Svetlana parried, looking unkindly at Alex, who was frowning. I hope you won't give your house to him? Daughter, aren't you ashamed to talk like that? Anna tried not to pay attention to the unkind reception. What house? What are you talking about? I came to your place for my holiday. We haven't seen each other for so long. We're not strangers. Let's at least go into the room. Why are we standing on the doorstep? I've missed Mitenka very much. Look, I've brought him some presents. Mitya's asleep, replied her daughter without moving. You'll see him some other time. What do you mean another time? You won't let us in? I'm sorry, Mother, I can't. My husband is jealous. If he sees your guest, he won't be happy. He's already been punched in the face once, hasn't he? He's had enough. By the way, he won't pat me on the head for a guest either. He has to work at night. He sleeps all day before. I don't need you to lecture me. My life. I build it the way I want. My husband is like that now. I'm sorry for forgetting the anniversary, but here's 300. Buy yourself something. Underwear or a robe or winter slippers, whatever you can find. And I'll go to sleep. I only went to bed at 3 o'clock. With these words, the door, upholstered with old oilcloth, slammed loudly shut, cutting off any hope of a rendezvous with the adored Mitya and the family arrangement of the wayward daughter. Seeing nothing in front of her, Anna started slowly down the stairs. Playing with anger and involuntarily clenching his weighty fists, Alex silently followed. The large plaid bag filled with goodies was left standing orphaned under the door. The way home passed in complete silence. Anna was slowly swallowing her tears. Alex was staring glumly and concentratingly out of the window, trying hard to keep his eyes away from the bill clutched tightly in the woman's hand. At home, they also silently went to their corners and tossed about for a long time, breaking the silence of the night with heavy sighs and creaking beds. In the morning, everything changed radically. With the first bus from the capital, Lena came, joyful and smiling, immediately warming the dull house with her warmth and care. Mom, I'm sorry I didn't make it in time for my birthday yesterday. I had to hand over the project to the chief, she apologized, wrapping her mother's shoulders with a down shawl brought as a present. Well, is it warm? It's warm, my daughter, Anna nodded, wiping away her tears of joy. And it's good that I didn't have time yesterday. Alex and I were away on business. You would have waited for us for nothing. Alex, look after my mother if fate has thrown you here. She wants to work more and rest less. She's not used to feeling sorry for herself. So I'm entrusting this mission to you. Promise? Lena turned mischievously to the man. Alex ducked his gaze, mumbled something to signify his agreement, and embarrassedly rubbed yesterday's stubble on his chin. At the table, they sat heartily, with greetings, reminiscences, jokes, and jests, enjoying Anna's pickled mushrooms and the delicacies Lena had brought from the capital, and the hastily baked fish pie. Alex thawed out, joked too, looked after the women as best he could, and even volunteered to milk Daisy on such an occasion. Luckily, she let him near her, and he had already taken a few milking lessons from Anna. Mom! Lena suddenly became serious when Alex, rattling the bucket, went to the stable. Let me take him with me to show him to the doctors. We have acquaintances. We'll do without a passport for now. Maybe he needs a specific treatment, and time can work against him in such cases. Then we'll be sorry we missed it. He's a good man, you can see it all. Helpful, hardworking, and not a fool. Come on, my daughter, Anna readily agreed. You have there, for example, not our district center, where you can't get much more than first aid. I feel sorry for him. It hurts my soul. He got into trouble somewhere, and now he's suffering. Young man, Lena jokingly called Alex when he, satisfied with his first milk yield, dragged a bucket of steaming milk into the kitchen. Would you like to accompany me on my way back? And she added seriously, I'll show you to the doctors. How long can you go on being Ivan, who doesn't remember his kinship? You need to restore your memory. Alex's face changed, and he looked at Lena with a look full of distrust, inner struggle, and desperate hope. The girl did not hurry, stood silent, looking calmly and firmly directly into his eyes. In a few seconds, Alex's glance softened, and an affirmative nod was an unequivocal answer to the proposal made. That's good, Lena said softly. We'll go tomorrow. You'll stay at my place for now. I'll make arrangements for the examination. In the morning, Alex again dragged a heavy bag with gifts to the bus station, but this time for Lena. Anna went out of the gate and looked hopefully at them, crossing her arms and blessing them quietly. A week later, there was a call from Lena. She said that there was good and not so good news. The good news was that Alex had no serious disorders, thank God, but the rehabilitation was going to be long and expensive. So the not so good news was that it was not quite clear where the money would come from. Anna was worried and had already offered to sell her pet Daisy, but Lena refused categorically, saying that it was an extreme measure, still not solving the whole question, and they would try to find less drastic ways out of the situation. From the anxiety and participation with which Lena spoke about Alex, the experienced mother's heart immediately sensed the first germs of an incipient feeling and froze in anxious expectation and salutary hope. In the evenings, having finished the day's labors and cares, Anna lit a lamp and, looking at the painted faces of the Virgin Mary and Nicholas, prayed fervently for her so different daughters and the sick Alex, asking for mercy and intercession for them all. The mother's fervent prayer apparently did not go unheard, and after a while the excited voice of the eldest daughter informed her that the situation of Alex's illness had changed radically and that he was not Alex at all, but Vlad, and they now have the money for treatment in full. Anna, who didn't understand anything, groaned, sank down on a stool, and asked Lena to explain everything clearly and in order. After breathing and pulling herself together, her daughter said that while they were traveling with Alex to the doctors, one of his former colleagues recognized him in the street and came to say hello. Alex, of course, did not recognize the acquaintance, and Lena had to explain what had happened. The colleague furrowed his eyebrows in concern, took her phone number, and went about his business. In the evening, the telephone receiver rang with an imperious male voice, who introduced himself as Yuri Alexander, asking for Vlad or Alex on the phone. He was agitated, speaking confusedly. Obviously, his memory was giving him some scattered fragments of recollections, but he could not connect them into a coherent picture. And the handset again passed into Lena's hands. Yuri Alexander informed her that since all that had happened was the direct result of Vlad's official integrity and human decency, he, as his former chief, was sending his subordinate to a clinic of excellent reputation and would assume all the expenses of his treatment. Therefore, he asked the nice girl Lena, who had taken such an active part in the fate of Vlad Alex, to collect the essentials for him in the morning and to stop worrying about the problems of his recovery. Of course, Lena did not promise Yuri Alexander the latter, because Vlad was not a complete stranger to her now, and she would still worry about his health. "Thank you, Lord," whispered Anna, drying her moistened eyes with the edge of her handkerchief, and went to Daisy to share her joys with her favorite animal under the sound of thin milk streams in an enameled bucket. Day after day went by. Lena called her mother regularly, reporting more and more details about Vlad's recovery and his gradually returning memory. And Anna realized that the young couple's relationship was becoming something much more than just participation in the fate of another person and his gratitude for it. And just on New Year's Eve, the old gate opened, and squeaking with freshly fallen snow, Lena entered the yard with a representative young man in a fashionable coat, in whom it was impossible to recognize at first sight Alex, confused and disoriented by life. "Now, Vladislav, that's exactly the name you're looking for, and will not find another name," smiled joyfully at the dear guests Anna, who came out to check on her hens in the henhouse. "You should at least tell me how you got into this trouble," she asked the old woman, a question that had been tormenting her for a long time, breaking wood chips for the stove. "Nothing interesting," Vlad grinned sadly, stacking the logs he had brought from the barn. "A common story, generally speaking, for our shark time. I worked for Yuri Alexander as a sales manager. I could say I was his right-hand man, and the board of directors started digging under him. I'm just a minority to them, but it happened that I got my hands on some documents that could really hurt the chief. I took them with me, but I thought I'd take a picture of them and send it to the chief over the internet. I went home, and on the way, some young men stamped on me. They took the folder with the documents. They probably would have killed me too, but I managed to dash over the railing of the bridge into the river. I lost consciousness from the impact with the water, and they must have taken me for dead. I swam like that for some time. Then I woke up and crawled ashore. I couldn't remember anything from the shock and pain. So I wandered back and forth, first hiding from people. An inexplicable fear kept chasing me away by night trains and country roads. Then the fear began to subside, and hunger was not a bad thing. I started to go out to people to feed myself. So I don't remember how I got to your village and met you, Anna. And then you already know everything. And they didn't find your offenders? Anna, overcome by a sense of justice, asked. How could they be found? They were hired, and those people who hired them after the scandal over the documents I sent to the chief went abroad. God be with them. The earth is round. One way or another, they'll get what's coming to them. Mom, we didn't come here for nothing. Lena entered the conversation. Vlad and I want to get married. We're not going to go round and round, but we're going to get married quietly. Will you bless us? Anna got serious, went to the red corner, and took down from the shelf an old icon of the Savior, which she had gotten from her grandmother. She crossed it 3 times over the young couple. Advice and love, she said, but don't forget me, old. Don't forget me at all, for I have no one but you in my life. We won't forget, Vlad vowed, and hugged Anna tightly around the shoulders. From that day on, Anna's heart became calmer. Lena had a family now. Vlad was likely to be a good husband and grandchildren to look forward to. But when she thought of granddaughters, her heart began to whimper, with the inescapable pain about brown-eyed Mitenka. What's it like for him there, with promiscuous Svetlana and her changing husbands? It's not right for a child to grow up in such an environment, especially since Mitya is a kind and clever child. He would have been good in a different situation. These were the thoughts Anna shared with Lena only about her unsuccessful Jubilee visit to her youngest daughter. And everything would have been all right. But by spring, Anna's long-standing illness had crept up on her. Her leg, which had been misaligned in her youth, caused, in addition to the usual symptoms, back pain, weakness in the legs, and shaky gait. The medicine waved its hands. What do you want? You have been running well with such fractures and loads. Now the loads should be sharply reduced. Gentle regime, physiotherapy. You'll live 100 years, don't worry. Daisy with tears had to be sold, but even without it, the work on the household became too much for Anna. Not wanting to disturb Lena, who had just found marital happiness, her mother called Svetlana, not really hoping for a positive result. Ma, what can I do? The receiver asked hoarsely in Svetlana's voice. I have a lot of things to do. Do you imagine that I'll be able to come to you and work hard and do your chores? I'd like someone to help me. Call Lena, she's in the capital, where the medicine is better. Suddenly there was a man swearing, a desperate boy's roar, and Svetlana, without saying goodbye, rushed in to break up the quarrel, shouting at both of them as she went. We have to get Mitenka out of this hell, Anna thought, even though she wasn't really upset about her daughter's refusal, and sighing began to dial Lena's number. A few days later, Vlad was already taking out the aunt's belongings and loaded them into the truck standing near the yard. Anna, sobbing, carried carefully her favorite icons, trying to place them separately on the seat. Don't be so sad, Vlad said soothingly. What can you do? It's time to take care of ourselves. You'll be fine at our place. We have treatments at the polyclinic close by. The neighborhood is green, and you won't be bored, especially in the fall. He suddenly smiled enigmatically. You know a lot of lullabies, don't you? Anna covered her mouth with her hand and then smiled happily, hugging the embarrassed Vlad tightly. Mom, stay with us for good, Lena suggested at home, arranging her mother's things on the shelves of the closet. Your house without an owner, you know, quickly deteriorates. It'll be hard to stay with us, but you'll move into my mortgage apartment that's sitting empty right now anyway. Why don't we sell the house while it's still good? You'll manage the money yourself as you wish. I'm not being selfish, I promise. I know it's not out of self-interest, my daughter, Anna sighed. I feel sorry for our house, but you're right. Stephen and I are going to die out, and he didn't build it for that. But you'll have to take care of it yourself. I'm too old to look for buyers. Mom, the buyers will look for realtors. They will do it themselves, smiled Lena, going to the kitchen to make tea. Long or short, and the buyers eventually found. And exactly the kind Anna secretly wanted. A young, strong family with children. There would be children's voices in the house, just as the late Stephen had dreamed. On the weekend, Vlad and Lena took Anna to the house to say goodbye and pick up some memorabilia. She was just walking around the yard, trying to memorize every corner, when the gate swung open, letting in an angry and displeased Svetlana. So, Mom, so the house decided to quietly behind my back to sell? But no, good people told me. They didn't allow their own daughter to leave without an inheritance. She began to step on her mother, ignoring Lena and Vlad, who had come out to hear the noise. Anna's eyes grew gloomy. Come into the house, she said briefly to her daughter, and went in first. There was an awkward silence in the house, broken only by Svetlana's unhappy sniffing and the creaking of the sofa on which Lena and Vlad were seated. Anna stood thinking and then went into her pocket, took out 3 bills of 100 pounds from her purse, and put them on the table. Inheritance, you say? Here it is, your inheritance. I'm giving you what you were able to tear from you once. That's all I have to give you. I'm a bad mother. I raised my own daughter a lot worse than my adopted daughter. That's why Lena will get the money for the house, because she was raised to be a human being. And this is your share. You don't deserve any more. Svetlana was astonished and forgot about her righteous anger. So Lena is adopted? Where did you find her? I didn't pick her up. I took in the family the daughter of our friends who died. Anna wrinkled her nose. I'm sorry, Lena. I've been hiding it from you all my life. I was afraid of hurting you. Yes, I know, Mom, Lena calmly responded from the sofa. Good people have long ago quietly told me everything. But I was afraid of hurting you and your father too, because you were no less worried about me than you were about Svetlana. If you'd found out, you'd told me everything. You'd have been worried, and so we all lived happily. And me too. By the way, Svetlana, you have a chance to get your share of the house. And what is it? The younger sister squinted incredulously. Very simple. Let me and Vlad adopt Mitya. Neither you nor your suitors need him anyway. And I'll share my share with you. Vlad and I will raise Mitya, and my mom will help us. There was complete silence in the room. Lena stood as straight as a string. Vlad was nodding his head. Anna froze in mute amazement, and Svetlana's face betrayed a whole storm of feelings. Bewilderment, joy at the promised share, doubt, protest of the remaining, though in a small degree, maternal feelings. Do you propose to sell the child? She said with a threat in her voice. Don't twist it, Lena burst out. I want to bring up Mitya normally, and a share of the inheritance to his bad sister still give. A couple or 3 such scandals with beatings, which Mom heard, and the guardianship will take him away from you without me. But I won't give you your share. I'll use it to get Mitya out of there. After hesitating for a couple of minutes, Svetlana raised her head and said, Get your share ready. I'll bring Mitya here tomorrow, and slammed the door loudly behind her. Whatever God gives, everything is for the best, summarized Anna humbly, and limping, began to set the table for dinner. The following morning, the household buzzed with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Anna prepared the house for Mitya's arrival, dusting off old toys and setting up a cozy corner in the living room with blankets and pillows. Lena and Vlad busied themselves in the kitchen, making a special breakfast that included all of Mitya's favorite foods, based on Anna's recollections. Shortly after dawn, there was a knock on the door. Lena opened it to find Svetlana standing there, looking weary and disheveled, with Mitya clinging to her hand. The boy's eyes were wide with curiosity and apprehension as he took in the unfamiliar surroundings. Come in, Anna said warmly, though her heart ached at the sight of her grandson's wary expression. Svetlana nudged Mitya forward. Go on, Mitya, this is your grandma's house. You'll be staying here for a while. Mitya hesitated but then took a tentative step inside. Anna knelt down to his level and opened her arms. Welcome, Mitya. We've been waiting for you. The boy looked at her for a moment, then rushed into her arms, burying his face in her shoulder. Anna held him tightly, feeling his small frame shiver with suppressed emotions. Thank you, Svetlana, Lena said, stepping forward. We'll take good care of him. Svetlana nodded, her face a mixture of relief and guilt. I know you will. Just make sure he knows I love him. Lena's expression softened. Of course. He'll always know that. After a brief awkward silence, Svetlana left, closing the door behind her with a finality that echoed through the house. Mitya's presence was now a reality, and everyone felt the weight of the responsibility they had taken on. Over the next few days, the family worked hard to make Mitya feel at home. Vlad spent hours playing with him, teaching him how to fix small things around the house, while Lena helped him with his schoolwork and read him bedtime stories. Anna, despite her physical limitations, found joy in simply being around him, sharing stories of his grandfather, in their family history. One evening, as they all sat around the dinner table, Mitya looked up at Vlad and asked, "Are you my new dad?" The room fell silent, everyone unsure how to respond. Vlad leaned forward, his expression serious but kind. "I'm not here to replace your dad, Mitya, but I will always be here for you, to help you and take care of you. You can think of me as a new friend who loves you very much." Mitya seemed to consider this, then nodded. "Okay." Lena reached across the table and took Mitya's hand. "We're all family here, Mitya, and family means taking care of each other." As time went on, Mitya began to settle into his new life. He grew close to Lena and Vlad, forming a bond that was almost paternal. Anna, watching from the sidelines, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Her family was healing, and she prayed every night for their continued happiness. One afternoon, while Anna was sitting in the garden, Mitya came running to her, a look of excitement on his face. "Grandma, guess what? I remembered something." Anna's heart skipped a beat. "What is it, my dear?" "I remembered a song my dad used to sing to me," he said, his eyes shining. "Can I sing it for you?" Tears welled up in Anna's eyes as she nodded. "Of course, Mitya. I'd love to hear it." As Mitya began to sing, Anna closed her eyes, letting the sweet, innocent notes wash over her. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there were always rays of light to be found. The days turned into weeks, and the family found a new rhythm. Vlad and Lena were a constant source of support, both to Mitya and to Anna. They managed to sell Anna's house and used the money to secure a stable future for Mitya. Lena even found a good school for him, where he quickly made friends and started to excel in his studies. One evening, as they all sat together by the fireplace, Vlad spoke up. "There's something I've been thinking about." "What is it?" Lena asked, looking at him with curiosity. "I've been considering adopting Mitya officially," Vlad said, his gaze shifting to Anna and then to Mitya. "What do you all think?" Mitya's eyes widened with excitement. "You mean I'll be your real son?" Vlad smiled and nodded. "If you want to be." Mitya looked at Anna, who nodded encouragingly. "Yes, Mitya. It means you'll have a family that's always here for you, no matter what." Tears of happiness filled Mitya's eyes as he threw himself into Vlad's arms. "Yes, I want to be your son." The decision was made, and over the next few months, Vlad and Lena went through the legal process of adopting Mitya. It was a joyous occasion for the entire family, and they celebrated with a small, intimate gathering at home. Anna, watching her family grow and flourish, felt a deep sense of contentment. She knew that her prayers had been answered, and her family was now stronger and more united than ever before. As the years passed, Mitya grew into a fine young man, always remembering the love and support he had received from his family. He excelled in school, went on to college, and eventually started a family of his own. Anna lived to see her great-grandchildren, each one bringing a new light into her life. She often sat in her favorite chair, watching the children play, feeling a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. One sunny afternoon, as she sat in the garden surrounded by her family, Anna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She felt a hand gently squeeze hers and opened her eyes to see Vlad smiling down at her. "We're all here because of you," he said softly. "Thank you for everything." Anna smiled, tears of joy filling her eyes. "No, Vlad. Thank you. Thank all of you." As she looked around at her family, she knew that she had done her best, and her heart was filled with a profound sense of gratitude. She had created a legacy of love and care, one that would continue to flourish long after she was gone. And so, surrounded by her loved ones, Anna closed her eyes, content and at peace, knowing that her family was in good hands. With Anna's passing, the family felt a deep sense of loss, but also a renewed commitment to honor her legacy. Vlad and Lena took over the mantle of family leadership, ensuring that the values of love, care, and support that Anna had instilled in them continued to thrive. Mitya, now a young adult, took on more responsibilities within the family. He often found himself reflecting on the lessons his grandmother had taught him, and he was determined to live up to her example. One day, while sorting through Anna's old belongings, Mitya found a box filled with letters and photographs. He spent hours going through them, each one a piece of his family's history. Among the letters, he found one addressed to him, written by Anna shortly before her passing. "My dearest Mitya," the letter began, "if you are reading this, it means I am no longer with you. but know that my love for you will never fade. You are a part of me, and I am a part of you. Carry our family's legacy with pride, and always remember that you are loved beyond measure. Be kind, be strong, and never forget the power of love and family." Mitya felt tears streaming down his face as he read the letter. He folded it carefully and placed it back in the box, vowing to live by his grandmother's words. Years later, Mitya stood in front of a crowd, delivering a speech at a community event. He spoke of his grandmother's resilience, her unwavering love, and the lessons she had imparted. As he finished, he looked out at the audience, seeing the faces of his family and friends, all of whom had been touched by Anna's kindness. "We are all here because of her," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Let's honor her memory by continuing to spread love and kindness in everything we do." The crowd erupted in applause, and Mitya felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. He knew that his grandmother's legacy would live on, not just in their family, but in the hearts of everyone she had touched. And so the family continued to grow and flourish, each generation passing down the values that Anna had instilled in them. Her spirit lived on in their love and actions, a testament to the enduring power of family and the unbreakable bonds that hold them together.